Hey guys, DD69 back with another video after a long hiatus like we usually have. It's going to become our channel identity, but just always know we'll be back eventually if that happens again, which it probably will, but we'll see how it goes. But let's hop right into it. Today's video, obviously back in the excursion, the 7.3 excursion, and we're going to be talking about some mods that I recently did. Not so much big mods, but more so maintenance mods that I decided to perform on this. The first one will be the Riffraff HPX, which is a oil crossover line that goes in between the two valve covers that allows oil to flow between the two valve covers in the motor, basically crossing over between each bank of cylinders, creating better oil flow. And I'll discuss why this is important for the 7.3 and why it's beneficial for you to do coming here shortly. And also I'm going to talk about my initial impressions of the switch to synthetic oil, more specifically AMSOIL 15W40, and what my impressions are after about 100 miles of having it changed. And I'll keep updating this as I go along this oil change, and kind of discuss what I'm feeling in the truck versus running conventional oil that we've always run for 298,000 miles at this point and never had any problems with. So first, I want to discuss the HPX from Riffraff, the oil crossover line. Basically, it just comes, no instructions. It's just a pre-bent line that's flared and comes with two fittings that connect to each valve cover. There's plug bolts in their plate where the HPX goes. There's a plug bolt in each valve cover, and you simply just unscrew them, get a little bit of new oil, throw them on the O-rings of the fittings for the HPX, and then put it in. It's compression fittings on the end of each line of the HPX, and like I said, it just connects your two valve covers, allowing for oil to flow at an intermediary point between the two valve covers for the 7.3. And the reason this is a good mod to do is because a common issue with the 7.3 is, especially with the HEUI injection system that it uses for such a large amount of oil that's running through the engine, and the injector's demanding such a high oil pressure and consistent oil pressure to run properly, it's important to have enough oil fed to all 8 cylinders to keep your engine running smoothly and quietly and efficient. I know cylinder 8 has some issues a lot of times in way in the back in the 7.3s. When it comes to these engines going, it's usually in cylinder 8, and this maybe will alleviate some of that. I'm not sure, but there's definitely some differences I've noticed. This mod is really easy to install if you have the right tools, which is basically a swivel fitting for your ratchet. You could get it done in 10 minutes, not removing the turbo or anything. I had it done during my oil change at the shop I usually take it to, because they're replacing intercooler boots, and while they were in there, it was just real easy for them to pop in. They said they had no issues. Riffraff does have instructions on their site if you want to look. They make them for the OBS style trucks, OBS 7.3s, not intercooled, and also the newer body style 99-03 7.3s. So overall impressions of this mod, what I was looking for, really what everyone's saying it helped with, was smoother running, quieter operation, and just better, not so much better response, but just a smoother feel from the motor. As you guys know, with 7.3s, it's an older diesel. It can be rough sometimes at idle. It can vibrate a lot just because it's an older diesel, but this could be in combination with the oil too, because I did these two mods at the same time, switching to synthetic and going to the HPX. But with the HPX, I've noticed while idling, it's a lot smoother. I don't get the vibration or chatter I used to get at idle when sitting at stoplights. Every now and then I'd kind of get a chatter that I could feel in my seat every 3, 4, 5 seconds while idling before it, but now it's completely smoothed out. I could feel no vibrations while I'm idling in the truck, which is really nice, and it actually quieted down the idle and the running noise of the truck, believe it or not. This, like I said, this could be in conjunction with the conventional oil, or the synthetic oil switch, but this is one of the biggest things you hear with this mod on Riffraff's website and other people that do this mod, is the motor runs a lot quieter, and it doesn't have so much of that metallic clanking sound that a 7.3 is known for. If you guys own one, you know what I'm talking about when it's idling. It's excuse me, it's kind of, you know, the idle is a clink, 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 kind of sounds like that, you know. It kind of takes that down a notch and smooths out the idle a little bit. Obviously it still has that 7.3 clank sound that we all know, but it's definitely smoothed out, and it really has gone quieter at idle. And even while driving right now, I noticed how much quieter and smoother the motor runs with this simple mod that's only about $40. So, and this is even something that if you have the tools and you have the equipment to make a little line, metal line that crosses over from the valve covers, you could even do it yourself. Make it yourself. You don't even have to get it from Riff Raff. It's just the idea of creating that flow between the oil flow between the heads allows for the oil to flow naturally between the two valve covers, and just gets oil where it needs to go more easily. Especially at the intermediary point, it's installed halfway between the front and back of the engine block, so you're really crossing over behind the front pair of the front 4 cylinders, really. So you're crossing over the center of the motor. I've also read on Riff Raff's website that it decreases the variability in the oil pressures that happens at idle. I believe it's the oil pressures, don't quote me on it. I know Riff Raff has a graph on their website. I'm not completely sure that it decreases the variability in oil pressures, but I believe that's what it is. It definitely decreases the variability in something, and I would assume it's oil pressures, but don't quote me on it. Like I said, I don't have it in front of me right now as I'm driving. But yeah, like, we're just sitting idling at a stoplight right now. I'm getting no vibrations from the truck. I don't feel it vibrating at a stoplight. The idle RPMs are staying consistent. It's quieter. It's a smoother idle. I can hear it and feel it, like I said, being much smoother. And overall, I've just been very pleased with this mod. Even in the first 100 miles, any issues with it? Not really. Not at all, actually. In the first 100 miles, just got to make sure you're not leaking. Make sure when you're installing it, you put some fresh oil on the O-rings, on the fittings for it, because, you know, if you screw a dry O-ring into the threads, it's gonna rip when it goes to seal. You want something on there, whether it be grease or oil. But I just grab some of your new oil that you're doing the oil change with and just throw it on there. And yeah, just a disclaimer with this mod though, since you are adding that crossover in there across the valve covers, for the first 20 to 40 miles, you will experience probably a rough idle because you're going to have that air pocket from installing the line in the system. It will purge about 20 to 40 miles of driving, and then you won't have any air in your system again, and it'll be good. So initially when you install it, it might be running a little bit rough while driving. You might have a little bit of wonky throttle response because of that oil, or the air in the oil system, and I did experience some of that. But after about 25 miles, all that was completely gone. The air was out of the system, and it's been driving absolutely beautifully since then. So with that said, along with the HPX, I did mention that I decided to do the AMSOIL synthetic 15W40, which is the stock oil weighting recommended for this truck. I did consider going down to 5W40, but given that I ran 15W40 conventional for a long time, in the range of temperatures I've been at, whether it be up in the mountains going snowboarding below 0 or 0 degrees Fahrenheit, or out here in Vegas in the summer where it reaches 117, I've never had a problem with 15W40 conventional oil. So I figured going synthetic, that would just make it even less to worry about. So there wouldn't be a reason for me to switch to 5W40 necessarily, as I don't live way up in the north doing cold starts in minus 40 degrees all the time. So I chose to go with 15W40, just their heavy duty diesel oil. I plan on switching to the heavy duty diesel and marine for the pre-emissions trucks like the 7.3s and other pre-2007 trucks from other brands, because that oil can actually extend your oil change intervals from about 4,000, which is the average recommended for the 7.3, all the way up to 3 times that. So on a 7.3 you could potentially get up to 12,000 miles on an oil change with their AMSOIL's heavy duty diesel marine oil, which I plan to switch to after this oil change of running through the standard AMSOIL synthetic to flush out all the old conventional oil that I've been using. So just initial thoughts on switching to synthetic. I have noticed that startups have been actually easier and seem like they're less taxing on the truck to start up. Starting up a motor as big as a 7.3 is always going to be a tough task, and I have not done any modifications to the starter, like a gear reduction starter or anything like that, so I'm still on the stock starter, and they're not the greatest at spinning the motor fast, so a lot of times 7.3s will have problems starting, and while mine never had problems starting, I have noticed startups have gone easier with this synthetic oil. It starts up quicker, it starts up smoother, and along with the HPX, idle has gotten smoother, throttle response has been better, and I've just noticed the engine runs a lot smoother, and it just feels more happy to run. I don't know how to describe that in any other way, but I've definitely noticed the change to synthetic oil. And now, whether there's a difference between going AMSOIL or just your, Rotella synthetic T6 that a lot of people run, Rotella T6 is real popular in a synthetic oil in the trucks for the price point. I don't have any experience on that, but just going from conventional to synthetic, I have noticed a huge difference, definitely noticeable, and for the price difference, I think it's worth it every time. If you plan to keep your truck forever, if you want to have the optimal running of your truck, I think really in these older motors, synthetic oil is the way to go, and in any car, honestly. Synthetic technology has gotten so good in oils that it's a no-brainer to switch, in my opinion. Now, this has only been 100 miles, but in every other vehicle that my family owns, we've run synthetic because they are newer cars, obviously, and we never had problems with it. So far, no problems in the 7.3 running synthetic. So if my experience stays like this, I'm going to be running synthetic from here on out. So just wanted to give you guys kind of an update on where the truck's at. Like I said, we're at around 298,000 miles, so going to be crossing over 300,000 here soon, and I plan to keep on doing mods and just increasing the drivability and comfort of this truck as it gets older, doing more convenience mods, and the power mods will come, but I'm pretty happy where it's at right now. I'm kind of at the limits with the mods I've done of the stock transmission, where I feel comfortable being able to do whatever I want with the truck and knowing the transmission is going to be fine. I'm kind of riding that fine line of power limit before I'd want to get a built 4R 100. So just going to kind of do the convenience mods and interior mods and stuff like that before I start doing more power mods and stuff. So yeah, more mods planning to come on this truck, and other cars going to be featured on the channel as well, whether it be cars my buddies own, other cars my family owns. So yeah, there's going to be a bunch of content coming, and I really appreciate you guys watching, even though we have the hiatuses all the time, and we do our best to respond to all the comments, but at the end of the day, we're just college kids, and we're busy. We got internships and schoolwork and jobs and stuff like that, so just trying to live life and do YouTube and stuff like that and still have fun. So I'm going to try and do our best to do better on YouTube, but at the end of the day, it's a hobby for us at this point. So just want to update you guys on that, and hopefully there's more videos to come. So thanks for watching DD69, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.